Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to the Intentional Living podcast. I'm Marty Keller here in Sacramento with the founder of this process, our friend and teacher, John Donovan in Oceanside. And we have our very special guest, our returning guest, Ron Kastner, who's been on this podcast a number of times and always has interesting uh, insights to share with us. And for those of you who are new to the Intentional Living podcast, this is a place where we take a look at identifying and then breaking patterns of behavior that we say, oh, I don't want to do that, or I'm not going to do that. And we go ahead and do it anyway. Sometimes we find ourselves in the middle of a disagreement and we recognize that we're on the wrong side of the argument and we keep arguing anyway. Or sometimes we think there are behaviors that we should be taking on, like uh, I'm gonna go pay my taxes today, and then we don't do it. And so, what we talk about here is how do those compulsive behaviors arise, and what can we do about them? What are our options? How do we deal with that part of ourselves that seems mysterious and often seems to lead us astray? So that's the intentional living process. It's a process that we work on in meetings, and we'll talk about how you can join our meetings at the end of the podcast. But before we do that, we want to spend some time sharing thoughts with our friend. Ron is the author of this wonderful book called A Life Yet to Live, and it's highly recommended for particularly the subtitle, Finding Health, Vitality, and Joy After 60. But you don't have to be 60 to get something out of this book. And it's
hmm
available on Amazon and other mass booksellers. So I highly recommend it. And with that, I'd like to welcome you, Ron. It's been about, I don't know, 4 or 5 months since we've had you here. And
Yep.
so what's been on your mind lately? What's
Well, thank you
what's
for
going
having me
on?
back. It's always a treat. Um, Although I stay in touch with you guys off podcasts. So,
hmm
um, you know, um, well, Marty, you mentioned in the run up to this, I do a regular thing on my website, ronkastner.com, and have a newsletter. And the theme this week was uh, the the art of having nothing to do. Um, and it was something I ran because uh, I've read a lot of Buddhism, and there was this one guy in the ninth century who was a Zen master, and he said to his students, the only thing you have to do is nothing. Practice doing nothing. Look inside
Yeah.
and look inside yourself. All of the things that you think you're supposed to be doing um, are not the way to find enlightenment, whatever. But let me leave that aside for a second. We'll get back to that. Um,
hmm
I I have been going. Have been having an up and down existence for probably about the past 6 months. Um, and there's a and I'm still not sure what it is. Um, but it kind of reached a big uh, moment, or a big several days moment this week, which I just felt lost. I just felt absolutely lost. And the stuff that's been going on in my life has not been overly dramatic, but it's my daughters, who I have spent the past 21 years raising. And that was, the first and foremost thing in my life. You'll get that sense if you buy the book and read it. And I was dad. I was dad for the past 21 years. Jess is now 21. She's in vet school. Lolly is 18. Um, she is moving at light speed away from being uh, a teenager.
hmm
And I have had a real kind of foreboding about empty nest stuff, you know. So that's part of it. The other part of it is turning 75, which was a big deal for me. I did that happened last March. Um, I am, I kind of say to myself, I kind of say to other people, I'm like the radical guy who's going to stay active forever and blah, 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 blah. But you know what? That just doesn't happen. Still extremely active for my age. But I've started noticing stuff that I'm slowing down. I am, um, I've got a beginnings of arthritis in my right knee. Um, I I can't do a bunch of stuff that I used to do. So it's there's something there. So and then there's all kinds of other stuff that reaches back into the past that I just kind of feel I'm in the process of working on a new book called tentatively called The Power and Grace of Later Life. And I do believe that later life is a time when you can access stuff that you couldn't access before.
Right.
And I think that that has a lot to do with mortality. It has a lot to do with, if not now, when. You know, if I'm not going to, if I, if there are things that I've been putting off all my life to take care of or to sort out inside me, when when am I going to do them? My time's running out, you know.
Mhm.
And even if I have, luckily 20 or 30 years left, um, I there's still it's still it's an hourglass that's running lower, you know. So this week I felt lost. And I think for the first time, I usually do stuff and go, well, how do I get over this lost thing? And what is it? And I try to figure it out. And I do the intentional living stuff. I make an intention. I feel it in my body. I mean, I do that stuff. I do therapy. I do whatever. And this week, I just said, you know what? I have my daughter here and her friend. I'm supposed to be, active with them and do stuff. And I said, I'm not doing it. I'm just gonna I'm gonna stay lost. And today was a relatively good day. I'm feeling pretty good today. Um, but I got to tell you, the other 4 or 5 days of this week have been pretty low. And I've been, slightly depressed. I've allowed myself to feel lost. I've allowed myself to feel hurt because ultimately that's what this is about. And the hurt obviously has echoes that go back to my childhood. I lost my dad when I was 7. I was never allowed to really grieve for him and all kinds of stuff. And allowing all this emotional stuff to be uh, present in me and to stay with it without trying to avoid it um, is where I'm at right now. And like I said, today is a relatively good day. I have stuff to do. I went to the gym. I've been running around a little bit. I went sailing. But the other days have not been. And even Lolly said to me, he said, Dad, are you okay? I said, he's a psychology major, so she gets it. I said, no, nothing going on that you need to be concerned about, but it's my stuff that I need to sort through. So,
Mhm.
so I'm staying in that phase. I'm staying there, and I will stay there. You know, and that's just my life. So when I get back to this, so now getting back to nothing to do, you're never doing nothing. You know, when you stop doing all the stuff that you that keeps you from looking at yourself and being yourself, I feel, the the stuff that's important comes out from inside,
Yeah.
comes from inside. And that's where I am, and that's where I am, you know. So as an introduction, I will leave it at that. And we can talk all we want about it, about me or about anything else. So
Something around when I turned 75, something happened to me too. It was like a switch was thrown, and it was like I'm this old guy now. It was like I started. It was incredible. Um, and I've been going through a down time, and actually been there when it's happening. Like I don't know if it was depression, but lack of motivation, lack of wanting to do
yeah,
anything.
I would characterize mine that way. I mean, I haven't felt like
Yeah,
writing, I haven't felt like doing anything.
yeah.
Yeah.
And when you said I'm just going to be lost, that's it. That's it's like instead of what I used to do was fight it, find something to do, complain about it, whatever it was. Oh, poor me. No, I'm experiencing this downtime. I'm experiencing a an acute awareness of my age. I'm experiencing, I want to call it lethargy or lack of motivation. And I went through it. And one day I popped out with some enthusiasm and some,
Yeah.
and it's part of, well, actually, I don't know. It would be my opinion and my conjecture. Um, the, I don't know, rhythms of life. I have this thing, a belief I have, nothing happens to me, everything is happening for me. So everything includes this downtime, this, I don't want to do anything. Um, and my body went through some physical, pain. I had some joint pain that was acute, severe actually. It was hard sitting down, getting up, moving. And for a while, I would just get up, walk around a little bit, and the only thing I could think to do was find some place to lay down, and I'd just go lay down. Um, and with this idea, this is happening for me, and the reason beyond me, it's um, and I'm going to experience this. And then, like I said, one day I just came through with a renewed attitude, a new perspective, um, a new sense of who I am and what I mean to the people around me, because that's changing too. As the older I get, especially my children, they're watching me get old and they don't like it. So,
Oh,
uh,
I get it.
it, um, so it gives us an opportunity to talk about, what we mean to each other. What do I need? What do they need? Yeah.
Yeah.
And in the process that I teach and that Marty teaches, we take people through an accountability process of owning a character defect for the purpose of healing unresolved childhood trauma. Okay, so people will go to what we call the tree and just say the truth of where I'm at. And you said it just now, and I've been talking about mine. My truth is I feel lethargic. Nice deep breath. Um, I intend to experience this. I intend to move through this. And when I take other people through it, they'll work on. I feel anxious, or I'm obsessively worried about that. I go in this obsessive loop thinking, and just say the truth. I'm in this loop thought. Nice deep breath, and then create an intent of what they want to change that to. I intend to nurture myself. I intend to be kind to myself. I intend to love myself just the way I am in this little proclivity thing I'm speaking out loud. I intend to love myself just the way I am. And then they say, okay, what do I do now? And my response, nothing. As much as you can, do nothing, because what I would do is like, oh, I'm okay now, or I'm going to do this, or I'm going to do stuff that is coming from my past that I should have to, got to. And if I just sit with it long enough, let it embody, let it move, let it be, something will come to me through that that is bigger than my regular rational brain figuring stuff out. And I call it imagination, inspiration, intuition. And I don't know what it could be. Somebody comes to mind and I give them a call. You know, you came to mind. I thought I'd give you something, because these things have nothing to do. I'm not switching here, but I'm finding that the Eckhart Tolle epiphany moments happen in life, in ordinary life. Mindful with a basic concept like Buddhist, concept, or a Taoist concept, or these epiphanies come in the interaction, the everyday, what we might call mundane or ordinary. And if I look back on when I've gotten insights, it's when I was just living my life struggling with somebody or something, or an idea, and this epiphany came, and it's like, so. And what I'm finding is that, Buddhist admonition, do nothing, not that it's Buddhist, but in that space, the activity is profound. There's a lot of, in my consciously doing nothing, especially when I do the tree or I have people do the tree, there's an internal process that's going on, and I find myself active or insightful, or something I could add to what I'm writing in my book, or a poem will come out from that place of, I'm okay right where I'm at, even though I feel lethargic. I'm going to go through this, and then this insight comes, or this epiphany comes.
When that happens to me, and it does, I always say, if I hang in here, something's going to come,
Yeah.
But I also get it. There's another process going on for me that is, it's like relearning to trust the process. I mean, how many times have I done this? And how many times do I go off, and then it brings me back to the process. And I am always astounded. I mean, just amazed at, where does that inspiration come from? I just go, holy shit, that has come from a place that I don't control.
No.
It has come from, we can call it the universe, the cosmos inside us. We can call it God. We can call it anything.
The quantum field.
Where does that come from? I in my practice call it health, because I think that healing is always happening unless we get in the way of it.
Correct.
And for the most part in modern life, we get in the way of our healing big time,
Yeah.
And I think if you step back a second and say, I'm unhealthy, and I accept that, and then my intention is to be healthy, and then do nothing, that's the place to start a healing journey.
Yes.
You know,
Yes.
that's the place. Because even if you have a list of things that you ought to be doing and should be doing, that you need to use self-discipline for, and you need to be, blah, 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 blah. You're not going to stick with it. You may stick with it for a few days or a week or a few weeks. You're not going to stick with it unless it really, really matters to you, unless it's come from a place inside you,
You know that I've had an experience of something recently within the last year where I find myself meditating. And if I'm like having trouble going to sleep or I'm thinking about something, I'll just meditate. And it's the kind of meditation where I close my eyes and I look up like into the pineal area
you got your third eye. Yeah.
and I just breathe. I just
Yeah.
take breaths as long as I can just take breaths. And then usually a thought will come, an intrusive thought or, oh, this happened, da, da, da. And okay, no, go back to the eye look and then the breath. And it's happened spontaneously. I don't know how many times I thought about I should meditate. This came just like you said. It just started happening. Now I attribute that to all the work I've done in the accountability process, all the intents I've created about healing, being gracious, generous, kind, living my purpose 100% this time. All these, it manifests through me. And this going to meditation is effortless. It's effortless. It's like, I gotta sit down. No, I'll just do it. It just happens.
Absolutely.
And that's that space you're talking about. It just comes. It now is part of. I've embodied something through this process of life, and
Yep.
talking to people about the advantage of doing nothing, especially well in the face of what I used to do, which was if I had a feeling or anxiety or um, feeling lethargic, or I would try to fix it.
Yeah.
I got to fix this. I got to do something. What am I not doing? Instead of just accepting where I'm at. And not that those things didn't happen. I saw a naturopath. I saw an anthroposophic physician, somebody who studied under Rudolf Steiner. And I was active. In fact, I have a list of doctor's appointments, stuff that I am now engaged in, where before I wasn't engaged in. And it's like, I didn't like, oh, I got to see a doctor. No, it happened.
Yeah. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
thought, yeah. So
Yep. No, I'm down with all that.
So as somebody who's way, way, way younger than you two old fogies, since I'm just going to be 74 next month,
yeah, I was going to say by months,
yeah,
months and
yeah.
months. Yeah.
But I look up to you, and I intend to learn from my betters, and
Respect your
Okay.
elders. Respect your elders, Marty.
yeah,
Thank you.
exactly.
Uh,
But I think about what you just said, John, about that space that ultimately the Buddhist injunction that there's nowhere to go, nothing to do, actually gets us in touch with
yes.
that creative spark, capital S spirit, whatever you want to call it. Ultimately, we're learning that that's who we actually are.
Yeah.
That what this really is about, it's learning to shift identity. Who am I? From this particular conjunction of what do you call it, John? Biochemical,
Biochemical
electromagnetical
electromagnetic being, yeah, motor
being.
operated through emotional
Yeah,
impulse.
I'm that, but I'm also not that. I'm actually the creative energy that put this together in the first place.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
And 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 I believe that the injunction of doing nothing, what that ultimately allows us to do is to be everything. Do nothing, be be available to the experience of everything and anything.
yes.
And slowly but
Wow.
surely what's happened for me is that my identity, the inner energy of who I think I am, has shifted from this wounded child who's got to be defensive and is all on his own, and those kinds of energies, those traumatic energies, to somebody who's easygoing, in touch with the universe, trusting the universe. I never thought I would say that.
Yeah, yeah,
Trusting the reality, including trusting death, trusting this process, life, death, including being willing to actually be wrong about what life and death actually are.
yeah.
Truth is, I really don't know.
Don't know.
I,
Uh,
well, I would say that the work that you've done in coming to terms with all those childhood emotions and that person that you used to be was the doorway
yeah,
to becoming like that.
yeah,
Yep.
Because same with me, when I'm afraid of being hurt and I do all the things I do to protect myself,
Yep.
um, I can't be that. I can't be inspired. I'm just afraid.
Yeah, yeah.
It's
You're on
par
guard,
it's
looking for
paralyzed.
something to happen. Yeah.
It's
well,
paralyzed.
and even if you're inspired, that fear will crush it.
Or it's not only paralyzing, sometimes it's I distance myself from it.
Right,
I distance myself from it and everybody around me, you know.
right. So the I want to especially say this for the newcomer who might be watching this for the first time, or as one of your early times, that the thing that brought me here and the reason I'm talking to these two gentlemen is that John taught me what we call the accountability tree. We mentioned it a couple of times, and that's simply a process that is getting me present with whatever's going on in the moment. And particularly, this is a value for those times when we're really scared, pissed off, sad. We're having an emotional experience that we normally would run away from, that our habit would be to either run away from it or try to transform it into something else.
Right.
So, for example, if I'm an alcoholic, my alcohol helps me transform those feelings into something else so I don't have to feel those feelings.
Yeah.
So, what the accountability tree invites me to do is just to feel that truth. So, Ron, when you said or at the beginning of your share that you decided you would just stay in this lethargy, or you would just stay with this feeling state that you found yourself in this week, that's doing the tree. That's like, I'm just going to feel
Yeah.
whatever's showing up. One way to say that is I give myself permission to feel what I feel, and to actually, when we give that attention to ourselves, that's an act of love, and that's an act of love we didn't get as children. So now we're giving it to ourselves as adults. And when we're in that truth of this moment, I'm feeling scared, I'm feeling helpless, whatever it is, we're in reality with a capital R. And when I'm in reality, I like to say I'm in the field of all possibility. That's why we can then say, okay, what do I want? What do I want? I mean, let's say that in the field of all possibility, there's a million things I can choose. Well, like I can only do one at a time. That's the curse and gift of being human, is we have access to all possibility, but we have to choose one. So I intend to feel happy. I intend to feel safe. I intend to feel self-confident, whatever it is. That then narrows that field down into that experience. It pulls that energy into self-confidence, safety, whatever. And we just do this one day at a time because we're working on changing the balance of years and years and years and years of this trauma.
Hmm.
And you can ask the three of us here, and we can share with you that it's difficult for us to overstate the effect of those traumatic experiences in infancy and childhood. And
Yeah.
most people have some form of trauma, and nothing's wrong with that. That's just what happened.
Yeah.
And trauma here just meaning some kind of act of violence that short-circuited or stopped a natural emotional energy from completing itself.
Right.
So we had our feelings stuffed. We, what Who do you think you are? I'll give you something to cry about. Do you know how much this hurts me more than it hurts you? And that kind of thing we heard over and over and over and over again. And it's essentially like it's like a physical blow to the body of that little boy or little girl who's on the
Exactly.
receiving end of that. And you said earlier, Ron, about, that behind this is hurt. And that's the pain that this process has allowed me to begin to first feel and then heal. Heal it by feeling it and
What
by
happened with
giving it loving
what,
attention.
what happened with me was I I became the person that my parents wanted me to be, you know, and I lost all my own agency as a human being.
Yep.
And while I made my way through life with my own individual talents, it was always under the umbrella of being the person they wanted me to be.
And
It,
without being aware of it.
without being aware of it. It was something that they would approve of, you know.
It's like a
Um,
it's like a psychic computer program.
and what this process does, what we've been talking about, gives you agency, and lo and behold, as you said, that agency is the fucking energy that drives the cosmos. We're it. And we were forced to leave that behind.
Yes.
I remember, Marty, the famous book that we love to death, the Robert Godwin book, One Cosmos Under God. And there's one line from there that has always stuck with me. He said, the job of a parent is to teach their children that they are part of the natural cosmic order. That's it. That they are an intricate part of the natural cosmic order. And
Wow.
this guy is a clinical psychologist, you know, and that just struck me, how many of us have had that, you know? We may have had a religious upbringing, but it's not the same, you
No.
know, it's not the same. And I know I have I left my agency behind. So when this process, every time I engage with this process, there is another thing going on, which is that I'm recovering giant parts of myself that um, I wish had been there throughout my life, you know.
Yes. Mhm.
So so there's some regret there too, you know.
Yeah. Yeah. Grief, sadness, loss.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Loss
Yeah.
hurts.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know what happened with you while you're doing that part of, as we're speaking. Um, what happened to me after 75 in the last almost a whole year? Um, may have given me the opportunity to grieve, even though anyway, that's just a thought I had that just to do nothing and experience myself where I'm at. And um, well, that thing, that switch that came on when I turned 75, it grieved my own youth, my own vital, what I used to. It's like, it's not there. It's not, it's gone. I'm here now. So yeah.
It's interesting, John. There's so many people that we work with in our meetings who find themselves in a phase of their recovery where grieving just seems to be spontaneous and endless.
Yeah.
And
I wish I
people,
I wish I was one of those people.
Mm.
yeah, yeah, set your intention. Um, but it's remarkable when I hear people say, You know, I just started crying and I couldn't stop crying. And
Right.
and that from my perspective, that's healing in action. That's the
Yeah.
Absolutely.
body healing itself.
Absolutely.
But it's very difficult. So this is where this thing that we're talking about becomes worth sharing, which is like if you're grieving, do nothing but grieve. Allow yourself. I mean, and many people have learned to do this, and they just get it in their minds. We was working with somebody just the other night that who had it in her mind that there's supposed to be a cutoff to grieving. I've hit that ceiling and now I need to stop it. It's like, really?
Yeah.
It's like
Yeah. Why?
I don't think your body I don't think your body agrees with that.
No. Wow. Yeah.
But it is a challenge that we have, and I don't know if it's just our culture, or maybe all human cultures have this thing. It's better to do something than sit around do nothing.
Yeah.
And
Yeah. Yeah.
that's a very American thing. I was having a conversation with a friend of mine a few hours ago. We were talking about politics and government, and I said, you know, one of the hardest things that we have in this country is sometimes problems can't be solved by government action, and doing nothing is better than doing something. And we're constitutionally incapable of going, well, let's leave that alone for a year and see what happens.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Like, what's the government going to do about this? It's like, wow.
Yeah.
And oftentimes what the government does about it is worse than doing nothing at all.
Right.
But we have that in the microcosm of ourselves because that's where that comes from on a collective basis. It's like the again what you shared, Ron, about your week is I don't know, maybe 5 years ago you couldn't have done that. You couldn't
I
have just
found it very hard. I mean, if I hadn't been out here, uh, where there's very little to do anyway, if I had to have been either working or, social or doing stuff or interacting with people, I would have found it very hard
yeah,
because I feel like I need to be. I mean, there's a perfect example. Why is it that we can be very different people on our own than with other people around us? You
Right.
know, because it immediately projection and how we want to be, how we have to be, and how we have to act, and all that other stuff kicks in. I mean, I noticed that my daughter Lolly and I had about 5 days on our own, and it was really, she's just this chill, wise um, person, you know.
Hmm.
And then her friend showed up, and all of a sudden she's a giggly 18-year-old, you know. And
Yeah.
she was eating healthy with me, and she was doing this and doing that, and she was really enjoying it. She said, "This is great. I feel so much better." And then, and then the friend shows up, and they're dressing up and going out and doing giggly 18-year-old stuff and eating crappy food. And because that's what's expected of them as 18-year-olds socially, you
Yeah.
know. And I do the same thing, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, I can't bring a lot of the stuff that we're talking about now into, I have a hard time bringing it into conversations and things like that. I kind of think, people are going to think I'm weird. It's time to just sort of lighten up and be social. You know,
Yeah.
I, I'm not good at that.
Yeah.
That's what alcohol did to me. Alcohol, alcohol was great at loosening up my tongue and making me smile and, being the life of the party. I don't want that.
Hmm.
I
No.
don't want that.
well, look at that. That brings us back around to nowhere to go, nothing to do.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, the other thing about that is what I've discovered, in particular, Ron, as we've dialogued about this over the course of the last month or two, um, is that I intend to be content with whatever shows up in my life, is to begin to accept that every moment that I'm alive, the joy and the power is in the being.
Yeah.
And I can be doing on top of the being's the platform, I can be doing X, Y, or Z. But as long as I have the joy of the being, it kind of doesn't matter what the X, Y, or Z is. Yes, some things are funner, some things are more difficult, some things are take more expenditure of energy or whatever. But the being upon which I stand to do all those things never changes. It's a constant reality if as I put my awareness on that. And so I've got to the point where it's sort of like I wake up in the morning and I just say, I intend to enjoy my day,
Yeah.
whatever shows up. If it's something hard, I still intend to enjoy my day. If it's something easy, I still intend to enjoy my day. If it's something fun, I still intend to enjoy my day because I just intend to enjoy the life that I have.
Yeah.
And someday I may not have it anymore. That's
That
that's that's the illusion. That's what we believe, but we don't really even know that.
that is
No,
one of the
no.
that's one of the gifts of later life. I
Exactly.
in that your mortality comes front and center, and you begin to appreciate those, those days. I call them bucket days, you know, which are, sort of my bucket list is one healthy day at a time.
Yep.
And that's exactly what they are, you know. Um, and John, in your meetings, you always go back to 90% of what's going on inside of you is not your conscious mind. Um,
At least.
and if you and what we're doing in in trying to live this way, um, is living in that 90%.
Yeah.
Yeah.
See, I know that what I'm manifesting right now is coming out of 99%, 9.5%, 95%, my subconscious. So what all I do is pay attention to what's going on in the moment. That tells me if that I intend to be, like if I own that I'm mean or violent, I intend to be kind. Uh, I just find myself different in situations and find myself just either not saying anything or, and that's what kindness looks like, is different. So even after 37 years of doing this work, 27 years of this accountability process, I am manifesting from my subconscious mind. Only I've paid a lot of attention to that subconscious mind and owned a lot of stuff, brought it to the light, put back in. I intend to be kind. I intend to be gracious. I intend to live my life for this purpose, 100%, all that stuff, and it's simply manifesting. So all I got to do now is what I did before: is pay attention to where I'm at now, what my perception, what's my mood tone, what's my attitude. Pay attention and keep doing what I've been doing, or I got to do more depending on what I find in the moment.
Marty and I talked last week about trying to live in the now and how difficult that is, I
Present
mean,
moment.
the moment, you know.
Yep.
And distractions are everywhere, and not only outside distractions, inside distractions.
Yeah. Yeah.
Uh, Future is a distraction. The past is a distraction. That living in the present moment, living in for now is difficult.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
where I went with that was, okay, I'm willing to not be present.
Yeah,
It's like, this is the way we are. This is a function of that 99%. We have this, it's difficult for us to see this, but we have that 99% or whatever it is represents a ginormous inertia, a psycho-spiritual inertia, and to lift out of it into consciousness takes willpower. Now, that willpower is not necessarily a huge expenditure of energy by any means. It's like John, you said earlier about meditation, it just happens,
Yeah.
but it's still it still brings us out of that 99%, which has like I said, it just has a lot of power.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, what's wrong with that? Is where I come to. It's like we're created in this certain way, and we fight ourselves. We fight ourselves so regularly, and after a while, I think that's kind of funny. It's like, yeah, I intend to be present, and when I'm not, I'm okay that I'm not.
Yeah.
And like you said, John, you come back. So what you did. So because I never forget being in a landmark forum class, and the forum leader said, "How do you realize when you're not present? How do you get present?" He goes, "I'll just realize when you're not."
Yeah, yeah.
It's like,
Okay.
That's
exactly.
because, yeah, yeah.
And there's nothing wrong with not being present. This is, again, the this is what all the mystics say. That's what I got out of when you first told me about the Thich Nhat Hanh book, Ron, Nowhere to Go, Nothing to Do. That was like my first thought is like, yeah, it's like I don't have to fight myself.
Yeah.
I don't know what will happen if I actually lived in Nowhere to Go, Nothing to Do, but I'm willing to check it out.
Um,
I'm willing to be okay with the way things are.
some pretty wonderful things happen.
Of course.
I'm pretty sure.
And part of it is because we set that as an intention. So John said, um, John works on his intention. I intend to be kind. Well, the intention to be kind has yielded some wonderful things, none of which could have been pre-programmed.
Correct.
It's like
Yes.
we get to be surprised.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I call it blindsided by healthy behavior.
Yeah.
Like, oh, I just did that. Look at me. Oh my God. I was in a near accident. I won't set up the whole story, but I was going through an intersection, and a guy, 3 lanes, and the guy was pulling on and I thought he was going to stay in his lane. I was in the fast lane. Well, by the time I got into the intersection, he was like coming into my lane, and my reticular activating system survival mechanism, I just moved the steering wheel. He moved his steering wheel. We didn't hit. And then when I looked in the rearview mirror, my first thought was, are they okay? I go, oh my God, this works. Oh my God, this works. Instead of pissed or mad or he
Yeah, yeah.
cut me off, no, is he okay? Are they okay? Because there's a family in there. Um, so yeah, yeah, I couldn't
That's
have
great.
pre-planned that one.
What a great story.
I was just I'm amazed with how well this works. It's just like, wow, wow, yeah,
Well, in our last podcast, John, you and I talked about the one of the results of the work that we do and we share is a life they never could have imagined.
right, yeah, yep, and yep, I'm squarely in it. I could never imagine.
Yeah.
Amazing, yeah,
So as we are willing to stay present with whatever's showing up, the 75 year blues, whatever you want to call it, there's it as we maintain that commitment that life happens for me, not to me, that to me is that's the liberating mechanism that whatever's happening, there's a gift in it.
there's a gift there.
I
There's
intend to
insight.
discover the gift. And for me, oftentimes it's in things like resentment. I discovered this week a stinginess in me that like
Yeah.
I wasn't really. I mean, once I discovered it, it's like, oh my God, that's been around forever. Well, I'm not gonna make myself wrong for it. I just intend to see what's the gift now in this awareness.
Mm-hmm.
And the more the beauty of human life, as far as I can tell. And again, when I listen to you two gentlemen, I'm kind of confirmed in this prejudice is that there's an endlessness to what's in that 99%.
Yeah.
We'll never come to the end of the discovery of what there is to learn about
Oh, no,
ourselves and our world.
no, no.
I think about that that quote that supposedly Mozart said when someone asked him about how does he compose, he goes, I don't know, it comes from God. I just put my fingers on the piano.
It just happens.
It just happens.
I think
Yeah.
most great composers would say the same thing.
Yeah.
Even somebody like Bob Dylan said, "Hey, I'm a poet, and I know it, and I hope I don't blow
Right.
it."
uh,
Mystery, you know,
yeah.
it's a mystery, which is why, anybody who is either well known or has done notable things or whatever, if they let their ego be take credit for it, it's like, what's the point?
Yeah.
You're not serving the process. I'm not talking about only creative people, anybody, people who are successful or whatever. You're not serving the process. you know, I was a successful businessman, not a giant one, but a pretty successful one. It's all inspiration. And it is just sort of like, yeah, at this present moment, I'm going to make this decision, and this decision has come from a place that I fucking don't know.
Yep. Yep. Yep.
And if it's the right one, good.
Yeah. It's like I defy anyone to go inside and find that place.
Yeah,
Good luck.
yeah.
And yet, because it's who we are, it's actually everywhere.
It's everywhere.
It's
We
everywhere.
go back to the Robert Pirsig and Zen of the art of motorcycle maintenance. He calls it the metaphysics of better, and he said that's what runs the universe, the metaphysics of better. And he had that famous, that things get better. That's the way we're programmed. And
Yeah.
he has that famous scene where he's looking at a broken motorcycle, and he knows what's wrong with it. He knows the part that needs to be fixed, but he's way out on the road and this, that, and the other thing. And he just stares at it. That's where the Zen comes from. He stares at the fucking thing for like 10 minutes. And guess what happens? He goes, oh, if I do this and this, I think I can get it to work long enough to get it to a gas station.
There you go. Yep.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
By doing nothing.
Nothing.
By doing nothing.
And
So,
yet, as John said, he wasn't doing nothing. He was doing
oh,
nothing,
absolutely.
and something was still happening.
Absolutely. And that came from a place that he has no idea. And he wrote 2 novels about that process.
Yep. Yep.
So, um,
A version of that, or a corollary to that, is from the gentleman that used to be the minister of my Unity church, the 2 Unity churches I've been part of, Phil Pearson, who just turned 98. So you got that's another quarter of a century for you guys.
Yep.
Um, so he just turned 98, and he lives up in Reno, and we had a Zoom birthday party for him. And somebody, somehow the topic of how much longer do you think you got to live, Phil, came up. It wasn't quite that snarky, but it was sort of came up. And Phil said it was the most amazing thing. His slogan that he and his wife, who's passed away, used to use in our old church was "the best is yet to be." And he goes, "I'm 98 years old, and I'm probably not going to be on the planet that much longer, but you know what? The best is still yet to be."
I agree.
And that's like
Yeah.
Robert Pirsig. It's always getting better.
It keeps
Yeah.
getting better.
Yeah. And it's like, wow, Phil, that's amazing.
Yeah, that's great.
Well, guys, we're coming to the end of our time together, and really
That's
appreciate.
a perfect
I
place to end.
know.
Yeah. I agree. Yeah.
So I appreciate you joining us, Ron. I know it's a little bit later where you are than it is
No,
here,
no,
so
no.
we're grateful.
It's only 6 o'clock.
Yeah. And so any last minute last thoughts before we wrap up?
Um, no, I just think the whole process and the whole wonder of it all is just, you know, I can't, that's what the new book is going to be about. That this is the time of life um, that you can access this stuff in a way that you couldn't before. So do it. So
Yeah.
do. It's just, we say there's a downside to being older and this, that, and the other thing. But this is the upside. You know, this is the upside. And, I combine it with a pretty vigorous health practice. So I'm trying to, make sure that I can spend more time and not spend too much time with doctors and other people like that, getting treatment with stuff. But that's going to be unavoidable at some point. So that's the only other side of it that, I would recommend to people. If you want to have a robust later life, look after yourself.
Yeah.
And it's self-care, it's not self-discipline. You know,
Yeah.
the same kind of self-care we're talking about, your mental and emotional processes, your body needs the same care.
Yeah.
Yeah, because the body and mind are one.
Yeah.
Thanks,
So,
Ron.
sure.
John, any last minute thoughts?
I like that. It's the best is yet to come.
Oh
I,
yeah.
I actually feel that in my bones, and I'm excited about what's happening. And we'll see. Yeah.
Yeah.
Indeed, we
Thank you,
will.
guys.
Thank you. And everybody who'd be interested in learning more about the accountability practice, we do this in group meetings. This was inspired by AA, Adult Alcoholics Anonymous, and Adult Children of Alcoholics. And we believe that this work is best done in a group setting. And there are 4 accountability practice meetings every week on different days and facilitated by different people. I facilitate on Wednesday, John facilitates on Saturday, and they're all on Zoom. So we invite you to join us, and information on the times and the Zoom addresses will be at the end of the podcast here. So please feel free to join us and learn more about this process. And also, please subscribe to the channel so you don't ever miss any of the podcasts. And with that, gentlemen, thank you very much for joining us, and we'll see you at the next one.
Thanks
You
for
guys.
having me.
Thank you, Mark.
Take
Thanks,
care.
Ron.
Bye now.